Bitch is a Bad Word podcast is for informational purposes only and reflects the opinions of the host and guests. It contains explicit content and discusses sensitive topics such as domestic abuse, sexual assault, and violence, which may be distressing to some listeners. Please take care of your emotional well-being while listening. While we strive for accuracy, we make no warranties about the completeness or reliability of the information, and any reliance on it is at your own risk. We do not endorse third-party views and are not liable for any defamatory claims. Listeners should conduct their own research and consult professionals before making decisions. If you or someone you know is in danger, please call 911 or contact the National Domestic Abuse Hotline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 800-799-7233 or text START, S-T-A-R-T, to 88788. We've got your back, besties. Caliber Studios has not independently verified the information you're about to hear. Reality isn't always what it seems. It's what you make of it. Sons of Anarchy actress Ali Walker debuts her electrifying new thriller, The Light Runner, on June 6th at Amazon and Barnes & Noble, but our bestie gang can pre-order it now at aliwalkerofficial.com. She's a baddie, she's your new bestie, and we've got her back. Go visit her website, aliwalkerofficial.com, and pre-order The Light Runner now. Welcome to another episode of Bitch is a Bad Word. I'm your host, Lindsay. I'm one mom with 4 kids and 0 fancy letters behind my name. I bring on all the experts to help us unpack our experiences and meet you wherever you are on your journey through and out of domestic abuse. This is not an easy thing to do. You can do hard things, and we are here for you. We are building a bestie gang so you can feel supported and seen and make the decisions that you're going to need to make, but from a different lens, from a perspective that isn't the one that you have been living in your silo, in your life of isolation. Today, we are joined by the amazing Victoria McCooey. She's a passionate advocate for survivors of domestic abuse and someone who's dedicated her career to helping others break free from these cycles. She is helping you build your bestie toolkit. She is your advocate, your new bestie, and thank you for joining us on this episode. Victoria, welcome to Bitch is a Bad Word.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
I love your work or your content on Instagram, which is like you feel like you have an advocate and a friend just when you're watching it. So that was like what attracted me to like, oh, wait, I have to watch this woman because you know what you're talking about. For sure. So I'd like to know tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into this work.
Yeah, it's actually very exciting because I come from a domestic violence background. So, yes, I was a victim of domestic violence. But after that, when I became much, much stronger, I started doing volunteer work for the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, where I live here on Long Island in New York. And I got obsessed with this work. You know, at first, they wanted to put me in front of groups like PTAs and teacher groups and like this, be on the lookout because not all domestic violence victims are who you think they might be, right? It could be your mother, it could be your sister, it could be like all these things. So because I didn't look like a typical person you'd think, but I said, this is great. And I'm telling my story and all that, but I really wanted to help victims. And so I pleaded and begged and I wore them down until they let me do their training course, which is typically only for people who have social work licenses. But I didn't, but I got in. And it was a year-long training where I learned to be an advocate for patients who were admitted to the hospital emergency room with domestic violence issues. So when I was on call, I would be the person the hospital would call to sit with the patient and coach them. So it was like speed coaching because I only had this tiny little window of time when their abuser wasn't there, when they could keep the abuser away if they were there at all. And I could never follow up with them. So it was like, you don't know the outcome, but I felt like I was having such an enormous impact in the world because these people didn't know there were resources. They didn't know there was an alternative. They didn't know, when you can't see the forest for the trees, so just having that kind of one-on-one with real victims in real time was life-changing for me. And that led me to this career that I have now as a divorce coach.
Wow, that's such an inspiring vision of seeing you as the front line of someone who's coming in to the hospital, and having not just a doctor or nurse helping them, but somebody who has experience personally, the passion, the understanding. I mean, because it's such a sensitive topic anyway, and then it's a traumatic experience. And what we're learning is that victims are in a trauma response for a really long time. Maybe, for years, even after they leave, and you're not able to understand exactly what you're in and what your next steps are. So having somebody like you come in and just be there to help, not knowing, the outcome would be that would be such a challenge. But
no following up. But they were so appreciative. It was so meaningful. It was such really fulfilling work, and I was doing it as a volunteer. And so I would sign up for times when I could be on call. I was spending all of my weekends. I have a real 9-to-5 job, during the week. And then I'd be spending all of my weekends and a lot of weeknights in the hospital. And so I'm like, you know what? I've got to figure this out. How can I have this be my career?
Right.
Because this is my work in the world.
Okay. So then you're this advocate, you understand, you take your work, your experience, and you make it into your life's work. So what is a survivor? What does it look like for them? You have just landed in the hospital for whatever reason. And what is your next move?
Well, first of all, they are petrified to say anything. So I fast forward all these years later, where I've had so much more education and so much more training and so many more. I'm also a divorce mediator. I'm a divorce coach. I have all these other layers now to pull from. They're in a trauma bond. They don't think they can survive without the abuser because the abuser has made them believe that. So that's the hardest part, getting them to realize that they don't need the abuser and that the abuser is manipulating them and lying to them and brainwashing them. And, now everybody uses the term gaslighting. So gaslighting them into believing that they're not as strong as they are. Mm-hmm. So
and I want to talk about the trauma bond because it's such a trending word or phrase rather. But I'm hearing a lot of professionals like yourself breaking it down even a little bit further and liking it to an addiction. And it's not just but we're bonded in trauma, because sometimes people are like, well, but I'm not creating the trauma, or I'm not the abuse. So how am I bonded in this trauma? Where I'd like to kind of get your thought on what it. Let's get a little deeper on.
Let me tell you what I know that from my research. Eve, when you get that, when they become abusive, when they're attacking and when they're in the attack mode, even though it's negative, it's a dopamine rush. Okay. You get a charge, even though it's a negative situation. When they rage or when they act out or when they get mad at you or yell at you, whatever it looks like in your world, you do get a rush from that. And you get addicted to the rush.
Okay.
And you start, you hear the text ping and you're like, right? Because you know it's coming and you get that adrenaline. And so the trick is to replace that dopamine rush with a more positive dopamine rush, right? To try to wean yourself off of that. But yeah, it's an addiction.
I love that. I love that visual of weaning it off. Your brain doesn't know the difference, right? I guess between good dopamine and bad dopamine, or, it's just dopamine.
Yeah.
So we're say nope to dope. That's what we're going to say. to the bad dope. And okay, so that you're in this dopamine, so you need to be weaned. You all have a liken to an addiction. And then this is why you're pulled to somebody who's doing these horrible things to you. And it's kind of, I guess, why an abuser, like an abused person rather, can't explain, like, I don't know why I want to go back with them. They just beat the shit out of me. Or that's got to be so conflicting.
There's also, it's like I said, the perfect storm, because, okay, you're addicted to this dopamine hit that you get. On top of it, when you've had years, maybe even decades of this insidious kind of abuse, like, it doesn't start right out of the gate as physical abuse because you wouldn't stay.
Right. Yep.
Right. So it builds and builds and builds. So it might just be emotional abuse, right? Or just degrading you or making you feel bad about yourself, or maybe it's verbal abuse, or, it builds. It's like, and these little things in the beginning, they're not enough to say, hey, I'm out, right? I'm not putting up with this. They're just like, just enough. And then it just grows, and they're masters at this. Just enough more that it's going to have an effect on you, but it's not enough of a difference that it would be a deal breaker. And then you're so abused at some point that you've been gaslit for so long that you don't know what's real anymore. You don't know what your real reality is. You've been told that your whole reality is distorted, not just in so many words, but with these little, death by 1,000 cuts. And this causes brain fog. You are confused. It's like cognitive dissonance means when you are trying to wrap your brain or hold on to two completely opposite belief systems, right? It kind of short circuits your brain. So you're like, well, he says I'm stupid, but then this, and he says I'm this, but I'm that, but this. And you're trying to rationalize or come to terms with what is right, what's real. And you just can't, you're on overdrive, and you're walking on eggshells, right? And of course you're compromised.
Compromised. I love that term, because that's what it is. They're not pounding on you emotionally, physically, or otherwise every single minute of every single day, most likely. I'm sure there are extreme circumstances, but when it's happening, the build up to, like, as they're building your tolerance for their abuse.
You know the story about the frog in the boiling water?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. It's that. Like, you're the frog sitting there and the water just keeps getting hotter and hotter, and it's not enough to notice or really do anything about, but all of a sudden you're boiled.
Yeah. Okay. So we're trying to avoid these besties from getting cooked. So, like, how do you get out? So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we want to talk about what litigation abuse looks like after you have made the brave decision to leave your abusive situation. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Sarah Wayne Callies, and I played Dr. Sarah Tancredi on Prison Break.
And I'm Paul Edelstein, and I played Agent Paul Kellerman on Prison Break. Please join us on our rewatch podcast, Prison Breaking, with Sarah and Paul.
We're going to have all kinds of guests and never-before-told stories, so follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can subscribe to our watch party on the link there. We can't wait to see you there.
And follow us on Instagram at Prison Break Podcast. See you there.
Welcome back to Bitch is a Bad Word. We have your new bestie, Victoria, joining us today, and she is going to help you understand a really real form of abuse that is starting to get spoken about a little bit more, which we're happy about. And it's litigation abuse or court abuse. And what does that mean?
Well, let's just go back to where we we're in an abusive marriage, and it may be physical, but it may be verbal, emotional, spiritual, financial, all different kinds of abuses, right? It might be a mixture of all of these things. All right, so you finally get the strength and the wherewithal and the confidence to leave this terrible situation. and you think, oh, thank God. Now I'm home free. Now I'm out of this toxic. No. Now, because a narcissist is, their biggest fear is abandonment for lots of reasons. And, that's a whole episode. But this is their biggest narcissistic injury. Like this is something they cannot, their worst nightmare, right? Being abandoned. When you leave the marriage or the relationship, you have just caused this horrible injury to their ego that they cannot withstand. So they believe that anything they do is justified because they must hurt you as much as they think you've hurt them.
Well, and they can do no wrong, right? This is what doesn't make sense to me because I'm experiencing this right now. I'm in post-separation, legal abuse, and have been for a long time. What I can't understand is like, I see this happening. Exactly what you said I experience. But then I'm like, why are you so angry? Like, read every message you've ever sent me. They're disgusting. You were horrible to me. Like, I had enough. I had to break the cycle. I had to leave. Our kids were suffering. They're just mad.
Forever. And it doesn't matter if they've got a new partner. Nothing will ever make them not be this angry at you, ever.
That is wild. Like they've got the I thought too, I'm like, oh, when they move on, it'll take the heat off. And you're like,
no. So anyway, this is why they feel that it's justified.
Okay.
Because you have done the dirty, dirty, dirty deed of hurting their ego beyond repair. So you must be punished by any means possible. That means using the children against you. That means smear campaigns. That means trying to sabotage your work or your friendships or other relationships or anything they possibly can. And of course, it also means hurting you in the court. To them, it's just one more way. As you take away their ability to hurt you in other ways, like you don't live together, maybe your financials are separate now, they can't, whatever, they're going to keep looking for whatever way they can to continue to hurt you. So if you're still in the court system, that's the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's one more way. So what can they do? Depends. Like if you're a working person and you have to take off time from work to go to court, well, that's easy. Mm-hmm. They're just going to keep not showing up or delaying. Mine had a favorite thing. He would fax, like who faxes anymore? He would fax the courthouse the day, like if we were supposed to be there at 9:00 at 8:45, he would fax a letter to the judge's office saying he had an emergency. His mother died. His mother died like 5 times when we were divorcing. Or something horrible happened, or his girlfriend who, whatever, couldn't take off work and he needed to, whatever. It was always something. And so he knew that I'd moved kind of far from where we had to go to court. He knew that meant I had taken off of work. I had gotten babysitting for the kids. I had driven an hour to be there. Like he knew that was how he could hurt me.
What are some of the wildest stories you've heard, or like the most just, I want to hear like the dirtiest thing you've heard someone do to someone in court?
Oh, in court?
Yeah, like to litigate, like to abuse.
This is funny, actually. I had a client. I'm going to change the name.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Okay. Say her name was Kathleen. And her husband knew that she was always Kathleen. That was her name. And her pet peeve was when people called her Kathy. So he put in all of his paperwork, called her Kathy. And so his lawyer always called her Kathy. And, the first few times she'd be like, it's Kathleen. But time after time after. So now everyone, the judge is calling her Kathy. Everyone's calling her Kathy. We call this dog whistling because to anyone else, it doesn't feel like, who cares? Like, yeah, that's her name. He knows that that's the thing that pisses her off, that only they know.
Okay.
And I mean, it's such a stupid small thing, but this is, it's just one more thing, one more way, just whatever they can grasp.
Well, they go back into that, what you were saying at the beginning. They're taking inventory, they're learning you. So he's gone back into his little narc vault and he's pulled the one thing out that he knows is just going to chap her freaking rear end all day long. He's like loving it. Like, oh, now the judge, oh, the court reporter, the clerk, who else can call her Kathy today? And like
everyone. And so in all of the papers from the opposing counsel, her name's Kathy. It's just like everywhere. And she's like, all she could do is pretend like it didn't bother her because he had gotten away with it. Like there's no changing it at that point, right? It got too far.
So that's the dog whistle. Only she can hear it.
Dog whistling. Right.
And he's in control. Again, it's control. He's the one that gets to blow the whistle. It's freaking making her crazy. And
the one they love is avoiding process, right? Servers, avoiding being served.
Mm-hmm.
This can go on forever because this is a delay. This is just, you can't get me. Yeah. Catch me if you can. Like it's just such a game with them. My ex-husband went so far as to when we were married, he was always being served. And even when I'm sure when I was trying to serve him, he did this too. Take the numbers off the house and remove the mailbox so that when the process server knocks on the door, he'll go, oh, this isn't 23. He goes, well, and they'll go, which one's 23? And he'll go, I think it's that one.
Oh my God. It's like that is okay. I've not heard that one before. So that's changing. I sometimes get a little nervous sharing new information that my ex can listen to the show and learn new shit. So I'm like, oh, well, that's going to happen next. No, but it's wild. And like, where do these people get the ideas? Where do they get? And like, I'm trying to figure it out. Are they all reading from a playbook or what is
used to say, that used to be my joke, that they got a manual. They have underground narcissist meetings and they get manuals and they have, all these, do this, then because it's all the same every time.
Yeah.
Step by step by step by step.
They're like in a cloak ceremony or something, all like passing on you're in the new chapter of assholes forever. Like what the hell is happening? So you're in this space, you see the same person, carbon copy, carbon copy, carbon copy.
My job is very easy because it's the same thing every time. So Our job is to get ahead of it, right? Okay. To prepare you emotionally, mentally, have some strategies for not letting it affect you the way it would. You can't change their behavior. They're going to do it. You can only change the way you react to it. And that's how you get your power back, by not letting it derail you.
So they're leaving. You need, what's the first step?
Okay. Before you let the other person know you're leaving, you have a lot of work to do.
Okay.
You need to get your ducks in a row because they will do anything and everything to sabotage your efforts. So I call this the Stepford wife phase. You have to pretend that everything's status quo, right? You have to do your best award-winning acting during this period because you need time to gather. And you're going to gather documents. You're going to put things in some online system that they can't get to. You're going to, I know if I can, I'll just plug this group I have, I'm part of. It's called the Divorce Allies. You join the Divorce Allies, which is like a very affordable thing to do when you're just starting to get information. And you learn everything about what this is going to look like. You have, so it's me, it's a business valuator, it's a parenting expert, it's a mortgage and lending expert. Like there's so many details that you don't even realize are going to come up. Now, I don't know, every case is different, but what about your house? What's going to happen with the house? What kind of paperwork do you have on your house? The mortgage? Can you assume the mortgage? We don't, we have to find all this stuff out. And it's a lot easier to do all this behind the scenes work before they know, because they're just going to try to make it harder.
Mm-hmm.
So you do as much as you can. You get expert advice on how to gather what you need to gather. You start looking at it. We try to help women come up with a settlement before they ever leave, before they ever hire an attorney. Like, we want them to know their numbers so well and know what a parenting schedule would look like, that they're so ahead of the curve, right? They've gone through all the grieving. They've gone through all the processes of dealing with the death of their marriage and getting to an emotional place where they're now we have their business hat on,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is not an emotional thing anymore. So we want to get you there so that you handle the rest of this as a business and you don't get sucked into the love bombing and the amped up abuse and all the things. It's just like, yeah, here's the offer. Here's how we're going to settle this. And you just kind of bypass all that.
When you're contacting these groups, are these groups anonymous in any way? Or it's like, because I'm always trying to figure out a way that, like, somebody who's in a really bad situation or financially controlled or monitored, what are some tricks that we can teach these women to get around it?
Right. Because financial abuse goes hand in hand with all these other abuses. So chances are they are watching, and that makes it very hard. Hopefully you can find someone that can, if you need it to charge something, to have a membership or something in one of these things, you can use somebody else's card and take cash back at the grocery store to pay them back or something.
Yeah.
Right. I've been paid by mothers, sisters, children of the person. I was even paid by someone's father-in-law.
Oh, wow. He's like, I know he's an asshole. Here's the payment. Okay. So get creative. I love that. Get creative. There's people that are going to help you. I mean, you can always find one person. I'm really trying to build like a resource of like, okay, this all sounds great, but if they're watching every move, the ruse is up. They know what you're doing.
Right. And one of the first things you should do is to get an email that he doesn't know about.
Yep.
And one that's protected. Proton.me, is it? Proton.me, I think it is a good one. You should get a PO box if you're going to be getting, like, if you open a bank account somewhere and the bank needs an address they may send you something, like, you don't want them sending it to your house. So yeah, you need to get all these ducks in a row. And this is that period where you're not going to tell them. You're going to act like everything's normal. And you're going to do all of this work so that you have the best chance of succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
There is a statistic that's heartbreaking. Women who are trying to leave abusive relationships go around this cycle of trying to leave and getting sucked back in on average 7 times before they leave for good. On average.
Yeah, because these guys don't want to give up.
They'll tell you whatever that you need to hear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they need to say to get you. They are not incentivized for you to leave. They have worked long and hard to get this dynamic right where it is. They don't want you effing it up for them. So whatever it takes, there are. And, these women who are like, oh, but how can you do that to the kids? This isn't hurting me. This is hurting the kid. Appealing to their moral compass or their sense of fairness. They don't have one. Like, you have to
act, and you have to, like, remove yourself from, like, a reality that, like, or ever a thought that this could be healthy.
This is hard. It is not normal for you to lie and be deceptive like this. This is not who you are. This is not your integrity. So it's hard to do. And that's why coaching is a really great thing during this period, because you need somebody to keep you on track. It's hard to keep up.
Okay, so we're going to take a little break, and I want to know when we get back what coaching looks like. What do you offer? What is someone, listening can walk in going, this is all the things are going to take care of for me. So we'll be right back. Welcome back. We are joined by Victoria McCooey, and she is helping us understand all the ways that you need to, turn on your best performance as you are navigating this new road, a hard road, bumpy, hard as hell, but worth it. And when you finally break free. So, and we're talking to like the women who are divorced. Situations are different if you're, not married, but it doesn't make it any less.
I've worked with women leaving relationships where they're not married, they share children, they've lived together, so no, not everybody is married, but even though I'm a divorce coach, a lot of the things are the same.
Okay. And sometimes when you're not married, it makes it more complicated because it's not clearly defined in certain states.
Exactly.
About what's yours and what's theirs, communal property, all of the things. They're like, they want you to have nothing. They would love it.
Absolutely.
Like if you were living
hurt you,
yeah,
in any as badly as they can, in any way that they can.
They would love to see you like in a tent, in a homeless encampment somewhere.
Well, you deserve that because you hurt their ego. You abandoned them.
Like, what's fair? Nothing. Okay, so we're phoning you. We get this coach. Is it packages or there situations where you're just like, I'm going to write all the emails. I'm going to help you understand this. Like, stay this course.
Right. So if you worked with me one-on-one, we commit to working together for 3 months because that's how long it takes for us to make any kind of progress and have the rapport we need. And then after that, you decide, and then you go month to month until you either get the divorce or you think you're good and you've learned everything you need to learn from me and you're good to go. So what that means is I'm going to coach you. We're going to have scheduled sessions where I'm teaching you a lot about the disorder so that I can help you learn to get ahead of it. Because like I see your face too right now. Oh, right. Why would I say that? Because that means nothing to them, right? So we have to understand how to manipulate the manipulator. They want to win. We have to set things up so they think they're winning when they, we can't tell them what we really want. We have to say we want the other things so that they think they're hurting us and like all those things. So yeah, it's like child psychology, Don't eat that broccoli. Don't you dare eat that broccoli.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
don't you pay that child support. Don't you dare. Don't give me more money this month.
Yeah. So we're always looking for ways to trick them into doing what you want them to do. And they're pretty simple when it comes down to it because they were like toddlers, really. And they're stunted. Emotionally, they're stunted. So even though they're usually very successful, very intelligent, they're stunted emotionally. So we can learn how to do that. Yes, I'm going to help you. I'm going to edit every email, whether it's to a lawyer or to the spouse. I'm going to help you navigate the children, navigate the parenting things that I mentioned about how to communicate about parenting or, with a parenting coordinator. I'm going to prep you for anything, for any hearing, meeting with your lawyer, how to hire the right lawyer, the questions to ask, prepare for depositions. I'm going to help get you through your interrogatories, which are the questions that you have to answer, which are like discovery. I'm going to teach you everything there is to know about the divorce process so that you don't feel like you're, going to step on a landmine somewhere. Like we're going to know the language. You're going to know what the process is. We're going to talk about mediation, if that's the right thing for you, how to handle that, how to prepare for mediation. I want you always to be the most prepared person in the room.
That's amazing. And it also sounds like it could save you financially on the lawyer side because like in some ways, these lawyers that are not trauma informed, you could end up with the wrong lawyer who's just doesn't understand the situation or running you around.
Well, if you join the Divorce Allies before you hire a lawyer, before you've started the divorce process, then you're going to save a lot because we're going to help you. This is like a do-it-yourself forum. We're there to guide you in a group kind of format. But you're going to be able to do all this stuff before you ever retain a lawyer. So right off the bat, you're saving tens of thousands of dollars, because just for them to get you to the place where we're going to get you, it's a huge savings. So now you're going to a lawyer and you're asking real questions. Like it's not just like the lawyer interviewing you, like, I want a divorce. What do I do? Right. It's like, okay, so here are my financials. Here's what I think. Here's what I can't get my hands on. Here's what he's going to say. Here's how a parenting plan would look. What would you do to negotiate this? Like, how much smarter and more in control do you feel talking to and you're going to pay for this consultation with the lawyer, whether you hire them or not, right?
Right.
So if you're going to spend $300 or $400 or $500, wouldn't you like to get some real advice, some real answers to questions that you can use? So you need to know what it is you need to know.
Well, and it's important too, because you're prepping them to make sure that they don't make the mistake that many of our besties, and myself included, make, where you end up using your lawyer as your therapist, sending like, well, oh my God, another weekend of fucked up parenting plan. He's not following it. And you're sending it to the lawyer, and the lawyer's like, I don't care. What do you want me to do? I've just charged you $500 for these emails. So
lawyers are not parenting specialists, and they're not financial experts. They know the law. That's it. So if you're going to them with like, well, I don't know, he owns a business, but he says there's no money, but he spends all this money, and he says there's no money in the like, they don't know. They're like, you need a business valuator to look at that. Like, so we're going to point you in the right direction and get the expert you need to give you the information that's going to help you get to a settlement.
Now, do you help people find lawyers in their area, or you're just like, these are very specific people you should be looking for when hiring a lawyer?
We do have a network of lawyers that we associate with. Now, we're all over the country, actually all over the world, this group. So, because one person lives in South Africa, but there's some of them in the Midwest. I'm in New York. So we have some outreach, and we are compiling a list. Hopefully we'll have all 50 states covered soon, but we will certainly tell you how to interview the lawyers and how to find them in the first place. We have guest experts come on. We have lawyers. We have this one woman who is a pro se advocate. So she helps people represent themselves.
Oh, that's so great. Because a lot of people, again, if you're financially abused in your marriage, you're going to be financially abused post-marriage. Know this. They're going to hide the money. They're going to squander the money. They're going to light the money on fire before they want to give it to you.
Absolutely.
So you have to understand that, like, you need experts, but then you may not be able to bleed a turnip, right? So you're going to be pro se. And that's, I want that to be like less of a frightening term to someone, to be like, if you are coached in the right way, you could do this. I don't wish it on anybody, because your emotions are too high typically to like be able to do it on your own, but you can be coached.
You can be coached. And also, I keep coming back to this. If you're getting this information and guidance beforehand, then you're going to be in a better emotional place to do something like be pro se, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We're going to get you through over that hump of the emotional part, so in my private coaching, I work out of two silos, I call them. So one silo is the divorce, like the business of getting the divorce, like getting the paperwork and getting the documentation and filing and figuring out the money and the parent, all that. And then the other silo is the emotional part. So if someone is already filed for divorce, I don't have time to work on just the mindset part with them, because they're in an active divorce situation, right? Mm-hmm. So then we toggle, like we do some work on the divorce, we do some work on the mindset, we do some work on the divorce, we do some work on the mindset. We're like toggling up. If I get them before they've filed, we do the mindset. We might pepper in some, gather this document and do this. And I have a filing system online that they use to put stuff in and get it organized. But that's when I can really get them to the place where, okay, this is business. I'm the CEO here of my life, and I'm making these business decisions for me. No one else is going to tell me what's best for me. I'm going to tell me what's best for me. Like, I'll get advice from the lawyer. I get advice from the financial expert. I might get advice from a parenting specialist. And then I'm going to make these decisions. So no one's going to railroad me into doing something that I don't approve of.
Which is so important because going back to the beginning of this conversation, these people have isolated you from your network, from your support system. So you have only seen your world through their eyes, through their manipulation, through whatever they want to tell you. And if you're still speaking to them, they're going to be able to easily manipulate you. But now you find someone like yourself, you're now like pulling back the curtain. And it's like their depth of field was like very, 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 very narrow for a very long time. And then you're helping expand that in such a cool way where finally, a woman is feeling empowered to know that her reality is skewed and she does have power and she can get that autonomy back and she can, because that's amazing. You become this ally for a woman who needs you the most.
One of the first things every woman has to do who's been in this kind of abusive situation is to realize that everything the narcissistic spouse says to her is intended to have a specific reaction in her, right? It's every word. There's no accident. They are so devious and conniving and manipulative. Like their gears are just like every word out of their mouth is cherry picked to have a certain effect on you.
That's huge.
Huge. When they say something to you, we're not like that. So we would never think that way. We wouldn't. You're just like, oh, well, why would they lie to me? Like, why would they tell me something that's not true? Like, why? Because they're not wired like us.
Right.
So the first step is, I call it shattering the carnival mirror. I say that they're holding up a mirror for you that is distorted. Like it's one of those funhouse mirrors where you look fat or tall or like whatever, right? And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing this distorted version of yourself that they're holding up. None of this is real. So we need to shatter that mirror and find someone who can hold up a normal mirror for you. Because right now you don't know what you really are. So that's what our job is. My job is to say, no, you're not stupid. No, you're not wrong about that. No, that was the right thing to do, right? They're like, wait, what's real here? Right? So getting their bearings, having some confidence, because you second guess yourself when someone's always telling everything's your fault. Everything you do is wrong. Everything you do is bad. How can you ever, that is intentional to make you doubt every move you make.
They gaslight you so much that you gaslight yourself.
Yes.
And you're sitting there going, and this is important because a lot of times I speak to women and they're like, I didn't leave on the worst day. I didn't leave when he did like the worst thing. And when that happens, that your abuser is then like even maybe more pissed off. Like they can't understand it. Like, well, I was way worse last year. Why didn't you go? So now you've been using me for the last year, or now you've been, or what? I've heard it all. And you're like, no, I've just finally had the courage. I'm finally done. But you are going to be told that why you left is even wrong. Or the thing they did wasn't so bad. Or, I didn't mean it. Or like, just whatever. They're con men. They'll lie, cheat, steal, whatever they have to do to get their way.
When clients are talking to me, they'll go, well, if I do this, if I say this, if I do this, he's going to be really mad. And, I can't do that. I go, you're walking on eggshells. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do or don't do. You're going to get blamed for it being wrong. So we have to think like them. And once you realize it doesn't matter what you do, they're always going to turn it into a problem or a fault of yours. So now you're free. It's so liberating. I don't have to worry about being told I'm wrong. I'm always going to be wrong. It's always going to be wrong.
I love it. Just live with sit comfortably in that space of knowing that you're always going to be wrong. Okay.
Oh my God. So there's a funny story. When I was still married to my narcissistic husband, everything I did, it was always my fault. Everything was my fault. If one of our kids didn't get invited to somebody's birthday party, it was my fault because the mother didn't like me. Like everything was my fault. So I finally came to terms. This is at the end. I was finally coming into terms with that. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I can't ever, he'll always blame it on me. So I'm in the kitchen, I'm watching him leave in his car, and he pulls out of the driveway and he hit the car parked across the street. And I'm just like, how is he going to tell me this is my fault?
Right,
because I know it's my fault. I know he's going to say I'm not even in the car. I'm inside the house. He comes in hot and goes, that was your fault. Of course it was.
You're like, the way you were breathing before I left caused me such anxiety.
Exactly.
Like,
wait, you've been there. You must have been there.
Yeah.
No, he said, well, this morning when you said blah, 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 that really, really pissed me off. And so I was thinking about that. I was just like so preoccupied about how mad I was about that I was like, okay, it's my fault.
I love it because, like, again, we say this on the show a lot. These types of people create unsolvable problems. That is their goal, and like you can't win for trying. Zero-sum game, negative-sum game in most situations. So get yourself in this protected, like, become insular to like with people that understand what you've been through. You're getting the support. You're getting the support from you and your advocates before. So then you're even stronger. Because like, again, they're going like in your situation, I want to ask you one more question. Have you had women with the statistic of 7 back and forth that like come to you and then you're having to like, do they just ghost you or like then they come back or they're like, I got to stay.
It breaks my heart because I know this is not it for them, but they're not ready. It's their journey, right? You have to meet people where they are. And they're not ready yet. And I can do my best work. But if they're convinced that they need another shot at it, the person has them convinced this time's going to be different and everything. I once coached a woman who had divorced a really toxic guy and then remarried him. Oh, shit. And then came to me to divorce again.
They're that good though. They're like, They're sending you, the love bombing is huge at that point when you do leave. Like and we say this, like you left for a reason. You're not going to be this like happy, parallel parenting is the only probably way you can do it. But you don't need to sit and have dinners together. You don't need to even, I'm done with the people. They're like, oh, it's so bad for the kids if you're not sitting next to your parent and your kid does not want you anywhere near your parent because they know that it's going to create a conflict. So it's like, don't have the birthday parties together. You don't need to sit next to each other at the play. And
you know what I tell people? I said, that's the Hollywood version of divorce. I said that I tell them that's not on the cards for you. That is not who you're divorcing. You're not going to have brunch at handoff. Like this is not for you, right? Don't try to turn this into something. If you couldn't do it when you were married, you're certainly not going to do it when you're divorced. Thank you. It's not, you don't get to have the dreamy divorce. And let's be real, like you don't want it anyway. You're saying because the more contact they have with you, the easier you're manipulated. They can't really manipulate you if they don't have contact with you, right? I mean, through the children, that's what they'll try. Mm-hmm. But it's no fun for them if they can't get a rise out of you. So like, don't give them access to you. Like, no, that's precious. Your space. Mm-mm. So when they use the children, what would be like one piece of advice that you give someone who the child is being used as the pawn or they're, telling the kid all the dirty laundry or, it's mom's fault or whatever.
What's the?
Of course, it depends on the kid's age.
Okay.
But what I like to promote is to never lie to your child, like, that it's, well, also, you don't want to disparage the other parent because that's what they're doing. So if you're just, if they're saying, well, dad said you did XYZ, or mine actually came to me and said, oh, dad says you're having an affair. Listen, they're kids. Do you even know what that means?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So now if you're doing the same thing, you're the same. How does the kid know you're both doing the same thing? Like, now you're both just bad. So my strategy is to always create contrast for the court and for the kids. So dad is aggressive and manipulative and tells them things they don't want to hear and drags them into it, and is always grilling them about mom and what did mom. You be the opposite. You be like totally the opposite of that. And now you're going to prove to the court and to your kids that you're the safe parent. You're the more mature, capable parent. You're the person that they can count on. You always show up when you say you're going to show up. You always do what you say you're going to do. They can count on you. You're the safety net. When something goes wrong at dad's, they're going to feel safe enough to talk to you. But when they're older, I love to use this. When they say, well, dad says this and you say that, so I don't
know who to believe.
Yeah, I don't know who to believe. And then go, you should say, well, that's your job. That's your job. You're right. Both of us can't be telling you the truth. Your job is to figure out who's telling you the truth and who's lying to you. Now, if you've been the consistent, normal, mature parent, and dad's been the one, like, doing all these dirty deeds, it's not going to be hard. But you're never going to say, your dad's a liar. You say, you're right. You're right. Both of those things can't be true.
That's the most powerful thing I've heard in a while. That's so important to hear. And you're teaching them to learn to trust their intuition, to start, because they're going to start getting manipulated and gaslit by the parent too. Mm-hmm. And typically these narcissists seem to have a strong desire to have hold on the young, manipulative, malleable child. And as that child gets older and has an opinion that may not be the same as the narcissistic parent, that parent starts to flip on the kid anyway, in a lot of scenarios.
So I see this all the time, where once they don't have you to control anymore and manipulate and gaslight, it's going to be the kids, or at least a kid, one at a time maybe. But that kid is going to need support. They're going to need a safe place to go and vent or get advice or just have someone to listen to them. So you want to be that person. You want them to feel safe enough to come to you. So they can't think that you're going to run and tell dad and,
That's so good. Okay. We have to have another session with you because you've given so many good bits, huge bits. We're going to take one final break, and when we come back, I want to ask you what tool you would put in our bestie toolkit as these awesome ladies are navigating their roads through and out of domestic abuse. We'll be right back. We are back with our new bestie, Victoria McCooey. She is your baddie, by the way. I have to say, I'm like this. I'm loving everything that you're giving us. And our last question is, what is a tool you would give our besties to put in their bestie toolkit?
Well, I have a gift if you would like to offer to your community. It's a PDF. It includes a video I made for them. It's called 5 Things Every Woman Should Know Before Divorcing a Narcissist. So it's going to give you the top 5 things that they will do so that you can prepare, be on the lookout, maybe get ahead of, and not be blindsided when they happen.
I love it. Thank you very much. That is
You're
an
very welcome.
awesome gift and an amazing 5-for-1 tool for the toolkit. That's so cool. And okay, so you have shared so much. This has been so enlightening in so many different ways because it really, I feel like we're putting together just a path forward. And that's what we need. Everybody needs some sort of path forward that's well lit because the road is bumpy as hell. It's missing some patches. There's like giant boulders in half the way and you need to be prepared. And I'd love you to share your resources again with us. Where can we find you?
So you can find me at victoriamccooey.com. That's my website. And there you can, the first step to working with me is to book an initial call. I call it a breakthrough to break free session. So we're hopefully on that 45-minute Zoom call going to make a breakthrough for you. Like, have you see some paths? Have you see at least a next step? So we want to really move the needle on the call. But anyway, that is the first step in working with me. If you get value from it, and if I think we're a good fit, then I can talk to you about my program that you might want to work in. Alternatively, I am part of the Divorce Allies, which is thedivorceallies.com, where we share so many amazing resources. So that is a membership community. It is currently priced at $222 per month. For that, we have weekly live sessions that are also recorded. So if you can't make the call, you can watch the recording. It's like a program because you can see us, we can't see you.
Oh.
You can talk to us through a chat. You can use an alias. If you want, you can sign on to the chat with whatever you want. And you ask us questions in real time, but we are performing. We are giving content. You'll know ahead of time, you get the schedule, what we're going to be discussing. We often have experts. Like I said, we have the pro se person who coaches people on being a pro se advocate. We have lawyers, we have therapists, we have, who else have we had? We have specialists in finance. We have CDFAs. We have forensic accountants. We have all kinds of people on. We also have resources. Each one of us, like I said, I'm the high conflict divorce coach. There's a parenting specialist. There's a mortgage and lending specialist. There is a business valuator. And there is a marketing specialist who can teach people, and it's a women's only community, teach women how to create an online business, like to quickly have some income.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
Income. Yeah. So she can get you onto some platform to start earning some income right away, like within the month or so. So that's one aspect of it. When you first sign on, you book a call with one of us and we walk you through everything. You get a discounted rate if you want to work one-on-one, like have a session with one of us. And then we've each written a guidebook that you can download from the site that walks you through our program. We've made enormous amount of content, modules. Each of us have modules you can watch. Like some people don't need a parenting specialist. Some people don't have kids. Some people don't have a mortgage. They don't need the mortgage specialist. So you pick and choose what you need to follow. And we'll give you in that initial interview what a good path would be for you to follow. But it's a do-it-yourself. You're doing it yourself. Every Friday, we each make a workshop for you to watch over the weekend. They're just short things, so you can watch whichever ones you want. So they build off of whatever we talked about in the Wednesday, we call it the circle, on the Wednesday circle. So it is just an enormous amount of content and resources. Oh, and there's a WhatsApp chat. So you can talk anytime to us or to each other in this chat. So it's a big bang for your buck. And I tell people, just try it out, because for $222, you can download all this information, all the books, come to 4 weeks of the content. And if if it's not for you, you can cancel it anytime.
That's amazing. And I love the financial resources too, because again, like we talked about, financial abuse is real. And if you've been in a situation where you have had no access to the money while you were there, or you're a stay-at-home mom and you don't know what you're going to do next, that sounds like a pretty amazing resource.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to invite you to my club, and it's called the BFF Club, where we are putting together all of the baddies that have joined us on the show. And it's secretly the bitches fighting for freedom. But we would love for you to be a BFF, and you've just been so amazing, and we'd love to have you.
How could I turn that down?
This is so amazing. So we will have you back for sure, and link all of the resources that you have offered on the show notes. And again, thank you for all of the work and that you're putting into this community, and turning your pain into purpose is something that I just admire so much. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, we will be dropping everything in the show notes. She is your new bestie, Victoria McCooey. Thank you so much for joining us on Bitch is a Bad Word. Welcome to our favorite segment, Texties from the Xties. I was trying to find a text that speaks to this conversation that we had with Victoria today. They're going to say whatever they want, right? They are just going to throw words against the wall and see what sticks to your heart, what makes you upset, what elicits a response, what makes you feel bad about yourself. They do not care one way or the other. So the more access that you give them, the more opportunities they have to take advantage of your kindness, or, your wanting for this to be normal, co-parenting, but it's not. It's not possible. It's not worth it. You don't have the mental capacity to put up with this that they have. So this is just a quick little text. It's not super bad, but what's important to read is this is like recently, and the kids had these watches, and they have tracking capability. So I don't want them in my house. That's a freaking solid boundary, solid line, and they're not necessary. And at one point they were at my house accidentally, and he needed to immediately come at 8:00 at night and pick them up because I had them. I didn't even know I had them. They were just in the backpack. But 8:00, bedtime. Kids are calm. It's my time with them. They're settled. you don't need to be at my house. But now you're sending me a message, disrupting bedtime, making me like, oh, here's the ting, what Victoria was talking about, that feeling like, oh, what are they sending? Oh my God. Okay. And I fell for it. Freaking fell for the trap. I'm still falling for the trap, besties. Anyway, the next time the watches showed up, I reached out and said, like, I don't want these watches at my house. I've told you this before. I'm putting them outside. Please don't send them again. And, whatever. So he's telling me basically that I'm crazy for thinking that they track. And why would he be tracking me? Well, it doesn't matter. They track. So you are, or the capability to track is there. So then, it goes on for a few minutes, and then he's like, I'm going to be there to pick the watches up. He says, put the watches outside. And I said, why don't you just pick them up from school tomorrow? Because I have a job. Well, how are the kids getting home from school tomorrow? Send the kids out to give me the watches. I'm here. So I say, no, I will not send them out. He asked me why. And I said, the watches are on the porch. I can't hug my kids, he asked. Of course not. That is your way of being, he replies. And then I say, anytime I let you, you make up some lie later that, I've stalked you or harassed you. Like the watches are outside. He responds, you're pure evil. You're the problem. One day you'll see that. So I'm not evil. I had a boundary. I don't want the watches. That's a boundary. I'm putting the watches outside. That's my boundary. He's like, I'm going to keep pushing the boundary. First, he says, leave them outside. I complied. I left them outside. Guess what? That wasn't enough because I did it. Just like Victoria was saying, that wasn't enough. He's going to keep pushing. He's going to do it anyway. Now he wants a hug from the kids. Now he wants me to send them out. It's bedtime. It's 8:00. They're settled in. I don't have to send them out. I'm not evil by doing that. In fact, one would argue I'm protecting their peace because it's contentious between the two of us. So the point of that texty from the XT is the boundary pushing, is the discarding of like, they don't care. They just want to disrupt. And it's the fact that, you're reasonably saying it's bedtime. I like do this later. It doesn't matter. They're going to do what they want to do. So you just have to get gray rock to yellow rock, D&E. I didn't do any of those things. And look, I ended up having, like, they won that night. They ended up winning some peace from me. So not worth it. This conversation isn't just a podcast. It's a survival guide. If it spoke to you, I hope you'll sit with it, share it, and remember, you're not crazy. You're not alone, and your life doesn't end here. It begins. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Bitch is a Bad Word. There is no safety in staying silent. Use 911 if you're in immediate danger. Crash on a friend's couch. Do whatever you need to do to get you and your kids safe. Help is also available on thehotline.org. Their number is 1-800-799-7233 or text BEGIN to 88788. They have 24/7 support for you, totally anonymous, and they're here for you. And you can just, anything you need, reach out. We'd love for you to follow us on Bitch is a Bad Word Pod on Instagram. TikTok and YouTube is Bitch is a Bad Word. Send us your texties from your XTs to 331-BITCHES or send us a text or a message. Find us on our Discord and Patreon at patreon.com/bitchesabadword. Reach out. We're here for you. We got your back. We drop our episodes every Tuesday. So we will see you next Tuesday. Our editor is Kevin Mackler. Our music was composed by Drew Kevorkian. Our art design was created by Eric Johnson and Kevin Roche. Our social media is managed by Taylor Jade and Samantha Bunting. Our intern is Joe Melson. And this has been a Caliber Studios production. Bitches being bad.